Good morning, class. Today we are going to cover this topic: strategic evaluation and control. This is a revision PPT, and in which we will be covering that why after formulating your strategies, after implementing your strategies, why evaluation and control is important. Since the very beginning of the management, you have been studying this thing that it is very important to evaluate whatever you are doing and to control if any deviations comes in. So same way in this particular topic as well, in strategic evaluation and control, you have to choose a particular strategy, and once you have implemented those strategy, during that implementation phase, you need to ensure that your strategies are going right on track. In case there is some deviation, in that case, you have to control them. So when you define strategic evaluation, it basically comes at the final phase of your strategic management. Once you have already done your finalizing of its strategy, that okay, this is a particular strategy which we are going to opt in by keeping in mind the internal and external environment, and you have already jotted down all the resources. Post that, when it comes to implementation, it's the final phase in which you have implemented also, and during the path of that implementation, you are ensuring that whatever resources actually you have invested in, are they moving as per the desirement, as per the final outcome. In case deviations are there, then and there you need to fix them and take the corrective actions. So basically, whenever we talk about strategic evaluation, it takes place at the two levels. One, you have a strategic level, and another is at the operational level. When you talk about strategic level, where it is concerned with more with the consistency of the strategy within the environment, that whatever you are doing, is it actually in alliance with the environment or not. When we talk about operational level, wherein the effort is directed as assessing how well the organization is pursuing a given strategy. Whatever strategy you have opted in for, how well it is actually performing when it comes to the operations, when it comes to the actual implementation of things. Next slide we have is, what is the purpose of strategic evaluation? The purpose of strategic evaluation is to evaluate the effectiveness of a strategy in the organization. That whatever strategy we have opted in for, is it actually working in best for us or not, right? So this why thereby to evaluate the effectiveness of a strategy, achieving organizational objectives is mentioned. Next we have this definition. It could be defined as a process of determining the effectiveness of a given strategy in achieving the organization objectives. That whatever objectives you have thought in for, is the strategy actually moving in the same direction? Is it actually enabling you to achieve your objectives, and will it actually help you to attain your long-term goals or not? And taking corrective action wherever required. So this is the final phase in which we actually have decided, and now we have implemented, we have assigned all the resources to that particular thing, and we are checking out that how these resources are actually working. Are they actually in coherence with whatever is the desired outcome we have expected? In case of any deviation, if the things are not going right in track, in that case, what you need to do is you need to take the corrective action, fix the problem then and there. Then is, what is the nature of strategic evaluation? Basically, the purpose of evaluation and control is to test the effectiveness of strategy that we have been discussing time and again. Second, you need to check out is, during the proceeding phase, that is the strategic phase as well as the operational phase, you need to check out that whatever strategies you have formulated, are those strategies actually helping you to attain your desirable set of objectives, and will you be able to achieve those objectives within time frame with the whatever allocated resources you are having? Will those resources help you to attain that objective within within the decided time framework or not? Next is, there has to be a way of finding out whether the strategy being implemented will guide the organization towards intended objectives. Whatever futuristic approach or futuristic goals you have, will the present strategy and whatever implementation you are actually, whatever strategy you have decided, is that particular strategy actually moving in that particular direction where you want to be? Will it enable you to reach to that particular future goal or not? Next is, strategic evaluation and control therefore performs the crucial task of keeping the organization on the right path. It is very important that are you on the track or not. Then, in the absence of such a mechanism, there would be no means for strategists to find out whether or not the strategy is producing the desired effort. If you just wait that, okay, let this particular thing happen, and post that particular thing I'm going to take the corrective action, in that case you will be actually losing a lot of the resources. So it's better to keep a surveillance on your team at that time, that whether the things are going in the right track, whether the resources are being optimally used, whether the synergy that you are expecting out of these particular resources are going right in track, and does the present strategy, will the present strategy enable you to reach to the future goal, and will it be beneficial for your organization or not? Then another thing we have to cover, we have here is you have to check out that whatever premises you have allocated, are they up to the mark? Whatever resources you have allocated, are they up to the mark? Then is you need to check that whether your managers are actually doing it right. Whatever that you thought of, are your managers actually working in the same direction, so that you can achieve your goals? In case any deviation is there and you need to change that strategy or reformulate the strategy, you will do that at that particular evaluation phase. In this phase only, you will check how is your organization performing. Next, are the time schedules being met? Are you actually achieving all the desired outcomes, but within the deadly timelines, within the time frame or not? Then is, are the resources being utilized properly? Optimum utilization of resources is actually taking place or not? There should not be any wastage, pilferage of the things, and there should not be anything which is actually being missed during that entire course. Next is, what needs to be done to ensure that the resources are utilized properly and the objectives are met? Like whatever is the deviation, fix that deviation then and there, and then reformulate the things or reallocate the resources so that, or optimally allocate the resources so that the things are being doable and they are being attainable. The objectives are being attained. Next is importance of strategic evaluation. That why there is importance. See, as we talk about evaluation, it is very much important to find out that whether the things are going right in track or not. Second, it is required that, okay, whether the time frames, deadly time frames are being met or not. Third is you can actually analyze that whatever resources you have deployed in that particular course of action, are those resources worth into that particular strategy, worth in actually making you or enabling you to achieve your desired outcome or not? So strategic evaluation cannot be done overnightly. It is an ongoing process in which at every step you need to confirm that the things are in action. Of course, that too much of evaluation at times becomes a hindrance, becomes a problematic or an obstacle in the growth of an organization. But you have to ensure that appropriate knowledge is being available to you, appropriate information is being provided to you. So strategic evaluation helps in keeping a check on the validity of strategic choice. Second, an ongoing process of evaluation would, in fact, provide feedback on the continued relevance of the strategic choice made during the formulation phase, to ensure that whatever formulation you have of strategy you have made, is it actually the right one? Have you actually taken all your points into consideration? Have you appropriately analyzed your internal as well as external environment? And have you taken care of what is the relationship or what is the transaction that is taking place in the internal environment as well as the external environment? Are they in alliance or not? Are they actually working for you or not? Next is, during the course of strategic implementation, managers are required to take scores of the decisions. You can rate your decisions, that whatever decisions you have taken, you can quantify that particular decision by allocating certain rating index, by allocating them certain kind of grades or marks. Next we have is, strategic evaluation can help to assess whether the decisions match the intended strategic requirements or not. Whatever was the reason for making that particular strategy, for formulating that strategy. Post implementation, is it so that that particular strategy is actually enabling you to reach towards your goal, is enabling you or making that journey of present till the future? While when we talk about vision missions, are we in alliance with it? Are we right in the track with it or not? Next is, in the absence of such evaluation, managers would not know explicitly how to exercise such discretion. If you will not evaluate things, first, resources will be wasted. Second, managers will be panicking. They will boggle out in that particular situation, that how to handle that particular situation. Because post that happening, there will be very less chance very minimal chance of reducing or taking back that particular loss. So it is better that every time you are right in track and you are evaluating your strategies and controlling the deviations if there are any. Moreover, depending upon the present scenario or the external environment, you will be finalizing that okay, if any further deviation is required, if yes, you will take it then and there. As time and again we have been telling that you have to be flexible with the things, though the broader chart or framework is going to remain the same, but there are certain points where you have to be flexible, where you have to rethink and reformulate. So during the course of journey, if you will be evaluating yourselves time and again, in that case you will better know and better you will have that better control that where is the deviation and how to fix that particular deviation so that you can attain your desired outcome. Next, you have this strategic evaluation through its process of control, feedback, rewards, and reviews helps in successful culmination of the strategic management process. You will be able to actually ensure that whatever the process has been when you talk about your analyzing of the strategies, creating your strategies and formulating of your strategies, you will ensure that all the members who are the part of your team are actually right in track. They are working on the same page in order to attain a specific objective. So you can take all the necessary actions and the measures in that particular case. Next is the process of strategic evaluation provides a considerable amount of information and experience to strategists that can be useful in the new strategic planning. From this particular plan, you can actually take lessons, take your experiences, jot down your entire problems or challenges that you have faced, and during the next planning or next re-implementation of strategies or deciding which strategies you have to opt in for, you can actually gain experiences from this project or the previous projects and draws all those things, apply all those things into the new strategic formulation. Next is or strategic planning. Then we have who are the participants in strategic evaluation? Shareholders, board of directors, chief executives, profit center heads, financial controllers, company secretaries, internal and external auditors, audit and executive committees, corporate planning staff and department, and the middle level managers. So in nutshell, everybody who is associated with your organization, whether through in the terms of your shareholders, stockholders, or your auditors or your employees, or when it comes to the people who are at the managerial post, who are into that strategic leadership role, for them evaluation is very important, so that at every stage we can fix out that what newness is required in the strategy, whether we need to actually rechange or rethink upon the strategies, or this particular strategy is going to help us in order to attain our desired outcome. Then we have this barriers in evaluation. See, evaluating things are not easy, very easy. At times it is because of some kind of over busyness from the leadership point, and also the team members, they are reluctant. Every time they feel this thing that we are doing our best, so why are being subvenient? Why are we being, time and again inquired about the outcomes? But despite that, you have to do it. So what are the barriers which you have to keep in mind if you are as a strategic evaluator have to do that, and how to overcome all those things so that you can actually attain, perform what you are supposed to perform. So first is limits of control. You do not have that accessibility of putting the things right. People are apprehensive, or even management is not in support of you. Then is difficulties in measurement. You cannot actually measure certain things which are which are intangible in nature. Next is resistance to evaluation. People do not like getting evaluated, rely on short-term implications of activities. At times, during that particular course, certain contingency or certain urgency pops up, and because of that, you have to bring in certain, changes in the present strategy for the short-term gains. In that case, that again becomes a problem, that okay, when we are actually moving on one particular path, why this particular hitch or why this particular hindrance is actually becoming an obstacle for achieving our long-term goal. Next we have is requirements for effective evaluation. If you have to evaluate a particular strategy, for that, what are the requirements? First, you have is control should involve minimum amount of information. It is not that you are actually burdening yourself with a lot of information which is not relevant, or which is being randomly placed in front of you in a file. No, you must have an appropriate kind of information on which you can actually take decisions. Then is second, control should be timely. It is not that once the entire thing has happened and then you come and evaluate and post that you realize that okay, this thing should have been controlled. So if you need your control, it should actually take parallelly when the activity is actually taking place, when the strategy of formulation or when the implementation phase is actually on time. Next is long-term and short-term controls should be there. You must be clear about the purpose that okay, what is the thing that we are right now eyeing upon? Is it a long-term goal or is this a short-term goal which has just popped up momentarily and then it will post that you are supposed to or you are going to target for the longer-term goals. Next we have is control should aim at pinpointing exceptions. In case of any exceptions, you must be knowing about, you must know about it, and that you can let that thing happen. And why that particular exception comes in because of some urgency or because of some deviation or because of some short-term plan that has popped up in front of you. For that case, you are just doing it. Next is you have to believe in 80-20 principle, the Pareto principle, in which it is not the 80% of the people who are driving the organization, but 20% of the things that are driving a particular task. So in that case, again, you need to understand that what is the major 20% which is going to influence or impact the rest of the 80% of the strategic formulation or the working style of working. So try to identify the key parameters, and on the basis of those parameters, 20% parameters, just rectify those so that the rest of the things become normal or they come right on track. So Pareto principle has to be taken into consideration. Then is get involved with the activities. See, do not put in a lot of activities which are of no use or which are just clinging on with your strategic formulation or with your performance, but they are not resulting into any or they are not very beneficial for that entire phase of strategic implementation. So whatever redundancy of activities or wastage, how you can control it, for that also you need to evaluate and you need to rectify the things. Then you have unnecessary emphasis on penalties tend to pressurize. When you are actually having the sword in your hand and you're telling that okay, things are not going right in track, in that case also employees become too stressed and out of that fear their performance might get hindered. So well, this is a prerequisite that okay, even if you are evaluating things, it should not start giving pressure to your team members, but they must be they should not be in a dilemma that okay, what is going to happen now, right? But in fact, they must have that assurance and faith in that strategic leader that okay, even if some problem is popping up, we together will be able to resolve that particular problem, and we will be ensuring that that desired strategy, whatever we are going to implement, will be implemented in a better manner. Next is strategic control. When it comes to strategic control, you take into account what are the changing assumptions. If there is any deviations, keep everyone informed, keep everybody into the loop, so that the deviations could be actually brought up with a positive thought, and they can actually help you to attain your objectives. Continually evaluate the strategy as it is being implemented and take necessary steps to adjust the strategy to new requirements. Whatever newness you are bringing in, you have thought of any deviation. Again, that particular thing has to be shared with the team. Next is in this manner, strategic control are early warning systems, a kind of early warning systems, warning signals in which you can finally find out that okay, this is the deviation, and in case we let that happen or let that deviation take place, in that case, not only our resources and time will be wasted, but we will not be achieving what we have desired, and then in that case, we will not be able to position our organization or SBU in an appropriate manner. So that is why control is a necessary thing. Next is, there are different kind of controls. First is whether it is a premise control, implementation control, strategic surveillance, or special art control. In premises, right, you need to control things. Then is during the implementation phase also you have to ensure that things are being implemented properly. Then is strategic surveillance. Every time, it is not that you are just simply standing on people's head and just analyzing are they working right like as per desired or not, or as per the thought process or not. But you need to ensure that if certain problem or certain issue is popping up in front of an employee, how his performance is going to deviate the entire team, how it is going to influence the larger picture of your strategy and formulation. Next is special alert control. In case of contingency, in case of certain warning signal that has been passed, in that case, again, you need to control. So it is not only that okay, you need to constantly or every time you have to be very active in evaluating and controlling the things. But in case of any kind of contingency, what will be your backup plan? What will be your solution plan? This strategic evaluation and control prepares you for that particular backup plan also. Here comes the premises control. It is necessary to identify the key assumptions and keep track of change in them so as to assess their impact on strategy in its implementation. During premise control, you need to understand that what are the assumptions that might hinder your performance, that might force you to take the changes. In that case, if you keep on evaluating and controlling the things, you will be in a better solution or better position to implement what is a change or what is a deviation in the path. Next is premise control serves the purpose of continually testing the assumptions. Whatever assumptions are being, as per the assumptions, are the things functioning in the similar order or not. This enables the strategist to take the corrective actions. Wherever deviations are there, right in that particular point of time, you can take the corrective actions. You can control that particular thing. You'll be the master in the case. In that case, who can actually keep the rein in their hands and accordingly plan out the things. Next is the responsibility for premise control can be assigned to the corporate planning staff who can identify key assumptions and keep a regular check on their validity. You can make people responsible for who are the ones who are going to take the premises control. Then you have this implementation control. During implementation control, when that particular strategy is being brought up into the practice, at that time you have to be vigilant. You can actually check that whether the things are going right on track or not. So implementation control may be put into practice through the identification and monitoring of strategic tasks, such as assessment of the marketing success of a new product. For example, if you are going to launch up a new product, in that case you have decided a particular strategy. During that course only you can find out that whether things are going right on track, whatever new strategy or whatever strategy you thought of bringing in practice for the launching of that particular product. Is that strategy working for you? Are the customers liking it? Is it that it is a stable kind of strategy when it comes to your comparison with the competitors, rivalries? And whether that particular strategy is going to be a savior for you and enable you to have that sustainability growth or not, right? So all these things are important when it comes to implementation control. Then you have the strategic surveillance. It can be done through broad-based, like it is a broader term in which the general management finds out that what are the key points where they have, which are very important, very much important for them, and what kind of relevant information they can gather. Post that, on the basis of selected information source to uncover the events that are likely to affect. Well in advance, you'll be able to identify that these are the key parameters, and in case of any of the deviation in these parameters, what will be the after effects? Is it so that okay, these are very important and we need to rectify right then and there, or they are the smaller little deviations which by the course of time will automatically come into the larger flow, into the desired outcome. They will rectify themselves on their own. So you need to identify and pinpoint the things then and there. Then is special alert control. It is based in case of some contingency or some trigger element shoots up in front of you. In that case, you have to actually have that plan of strategic this special alert control. Special alert control is based on trigger mechanism for rapid response and immediate reassessment of strategy in the light of a sudden or an unexpected events, right? Whatever comes in front of you, unplanned thing. For example, during COVID, also a lot of things in the special alert control came where people thought of okay, just retrenching people, or they thought of just like cutting short their plant capacities, or getting rid of certain projects that were ongoing, delaying certain new projects. So all these things were under the special alert control only. Then you have this. Crises are critical situations that occur unexpectedly and threaten the course of strategy. That whatever in the goody times, in the aspect of the internal and external analysis, you have decided that okay, this is how my journey from present to future is going to be. But in case any contingency pops up, in case of some deviations, in that case, special alert control will help you, as you'll be able to control that particular situation, control that particular contingency, or sense that contingency and re-implement your strategies or re-draft your strategies. Next is organizations that hopes for the best and prepare for the worst are in a vintage position to handle any crisis. That is why time and again we are told that instead of just looking at the brighter phases of life, go for the darker phases of the life. Just keep them in mind so that whenever some kind of contingency again comes up to you, you are in a situation, better situation to handle that particular thing. So same way, it is better that okay, whenever you're into an organization while making your strategies, ensure that whatever you are doing, you are actually preparing yourself for the worst. If some worst happens, how you are going to control for that particular thing. So be prepared for it. Mentally strong, be mentally strong for it. Crisis management follows certain steps. First is signal detection. When the moment it pops up, just be alert, be active. Then is prepare a secondary plan, which is actually going to prevent from that particular you from that particular contingency. What are the damages that are going to happen? Try to reduce those damages. Next is whatever will be the recovery. Once recovery plan for it. Once that crisis has taken place, once that deviation has actually popped up in front of you and you cannot handle that, you will try to minimize the risk. You will try that okay, how minimal damage we can bring in. And post that, what is more important is recovery, how well you are able to recover. So recovery leading to the organization learning. So the first step of signal detection can be performance by special alert control systems. Once you'll be active, once you'll be on your toes for identifying such kind of warning signals, only then you'll be like actively or you'll be timely addressing that particular issue, and accordingly you'll be preparing your backup plan. So that is all with this particular topic, strategic evaluation and control. During this particular 3 days, we have already covered, revised whatever we have done in the online mode of our classes. So that is all with the review part. Despite that, even then you feel that okay, there is a point where you feel that there is a point which wants the clarity from me. For that, you can call me, you can mail me, I'll be available. And as you all know that your exam is scheduled for 18th of December, and the timings for that particular exam is 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. That is in the evening we have scheduled it. So second thing is, like you are left with one assignments that you were supposed to submit me. You can mail me those assignments by the evening of the day, and that calls an end for this particular module. In case of, I repeat, in case of any query, please feel free to connect with me. And we are waiting for all of you to in the class. So please do come back in the physical mode of the classroom teaching. Bye bye, all of you. Till then, take care. Bye.